Hello there, this is Nightline and I am Nadia. Azmi. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government committed to work with opposition-led states, says PM. And EPF FSA2 applicants risk being blacklisted if fail to repay financing. Good morning. The federal government is committed to work with all state governments, particularly the opposition-led states, to ensure the well-being of the people are well taken care of in line with the Madani concept. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said they could fight during the general election, but they should make up after that for the sake of the people. According to Datuk Seri Anwar, the federal government has always been fair as it has continued to prioritise any urgent needs or requests made by the state governments regardless of political differences.
Peruntukan bagi Kelantan, Terengganu, Kedah pun saya tambah. Walaupun ada celau sikit. Kelantan, Terengganu, Kedah, Perlis kita tambah. Semalam Datuk Mat Yaakob, Menteri Besar Kelantan, mari bincang kerana kita nak tambah projek Tebatan banjir. Satu ada jembatan Palembang, satu saya tambah, baru tambah. Setelah kita jimatkan belanja dari projek Tebatan banjir, tambah projek besar di Sungai Golok kerana masalah banjir dia serius.
Datuk Seri Anwar said this in his speech at the launch of the Mengkuang Titi Mosque project in Bukit Mertajam on Friday. The event was also attended by Pulau Pinang Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow. Datuk Seri Anwar added that the good relationship with the state governments would also be reflected in his visit to Terengganu on Saturday. At a separate event, Datuk Seri Anwar has appealed to the public to give his unity government a few years to get rid of corruption and plundering of the country's resources. Speaking at a gathering of civil servants at his hometown in Permatang Pau, the Prime Minister said kleptocracy is institutionalised corruption and is not defined by the actions of a single person.
Bagi tempoh kita untuk beberapa tahun ini, untuk membuktikan pertama tata kelola yang baik, hentikan amalan sakau menyakau ini. Dan dengan hasil kita yang lebih baik, beri keadilan kepada orang yang berkorban untuk mengawal dan meningkatkan ekonomi negara.
He pointed out that among those who had sacrificed a lot for the country are the civil servants, adding that he will announce some good news on Tuesday. Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, assured that the unity government will continue to help develop the state as a research centre for the digital industry. Earlier, the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri of Pulau Pinang, Tun Ahmad Fuzi Abdul Razak, granted an audience to Datuk Seri Anwar, who was in the state on a one-day working visit. The Prime Minister arrived at Sri Mutiara, the official residence of the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri, at 10:45 a.m. The meeting with Tun Ahmad Fuzi lasted for almost an hour. This was Datuk Seri Anwar's first audience with Tun Ahmad Fuzi since his appointment as Prime Minister in November last year. Later in the day, Datuk Seri Anwar called for a multiple agency investigation into how drugs worth nearly 790 million ringgit was smuggled last month from Port Klang to Brisbane, Australia. The Prime Minister stressed that it would be a major embarrassment if it was confirmed that the heroin haul, the second biggest in Australian history, indeed originated from a Malaysian port.
Dalam tempoh 1-2 minggu kita mau laporan penuh dan lengkap memastikan penyeludupan ini boleh dihalang. Kerana ini bukan soal kecil, ya, bukan soal ratusan juta wang, tapi dia menunjukkan satu kelemahan dalam sistem kita. Dalam keadaan kita bicara soal tata kelola, pengurusan kerajaan yang baik, menentang rasuah dan pidana penggunaan kuasa, hal-hal ini masih berlaku. Dan oleh demikian, kita tidak harus tolak ansur, kita harus lebih keras tindakan kita terhadap penjenayah-penjenayah ini.
Datuk Seri Anwar said this in his speech at a breaking of fast event organised by the Home Ministry in Sungai Petani, Kedah on Friday. He stressed that such weaknesses in the system must be overcome. Therefore, he said he had requested the police, especially the Commercial Crime Investigation Division, to be involved in this investigation. It was reported that on March 13th, Australia seized a total of 336 kilograms of heroin from a container sent from Malaysia to Brisbane, the second biggest shipment ever detected. The drugs were found hidden in 2 blocks of concrete, weighing 500 kilograms each, and checks found the shipment had been declared as solar panel accessories. Speaking on another matter, Datuk Seri Anwar said the administration's strict governance through policies introduced has successfully helped boost the country's revenue. The Prime Minister said his confidence was backed by the increasing government revenues over the past few months, which had exceeded the initial projection.
Hasil yang dikutip oleh lembaga hasil dalam negeri telah meningkat, melonjak naik dalam masa 2-3 bulan ini cukup tinggi dan angka akan kita umumkan kemudian. Jadi maknanya bila kita lakukan satu sikap pendirian kita yang tegas, tokoh-tokoh besar, saudara-saudara kaya yang jangan-jangan nak bayar cukai penuh, semua bayar cukai penuh sekarang. Karena kita tunjuk bahawa jangan tolak ansur. Orang bawah kena bayar cukai, orang kaya, maha kaya, cuba elak bayar cukai. Kita bagi signal.
Datuk Seri Anwar said if the country's income continues to increase, it will yield long-term benefits to the people. He also gave an assurance that if foreign investments and the country's economy improve within a year or two, priority will be given to civil servants to enjoy salary increases and allowances. On a separate matter, Datuk Seri Anwar announced that he is not holding a Hari Raya Aidilfitri open house at the Prime Minister's official residence in Sri Perdana Putrajaya. Instead, he and his cabinet members will be attending Aidilfitri open houses organised by the federal government agencies and state governments. Applicants of the Employees Provident Fund EPF Account 2 Support Facility Programme risk being blacklisted if they fail to repay the financing received in the required payment period. Deputy Finance Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Maslan said their names will appear in the record of CCRIS and CTOS.
Apabila umurnya 50 tahun, katalah dia ada lagi baki, katalah dia ada baki lagi 10,000 yang tidak dibayar, barulah EPF akan memberikan kepada bank 10,000 yang belum dibayar itu ketika dia berumur 50 tahun. Walaupun demikian, namanya masuk blacklist lah sebab dia tak bayar hutang.
He also stressed that the members must continue to make monthly repayments with an interest rate of 4.5%. As of April 12, a total of 59,230 contributors have applied for the program since it opened on April 7th, with only 27,705 found to be eligible. FSA2 allows EPF members to obtain personal financing up to 50,000 ringgit from banking institutions, but the applicants are required to have a minimum of 3,000 ringgit in EPF Account 2. Commenting on residential overhang in Malaysia, there were 27,746 unsold completed residential units with 18.41 billion ringgit as of December last year. This compared with 36,863 units with 22.79 billion ringgit at the end of 2021. Fahmi Fazil will announce some good news for prepaid plan users on April 17th. The Communications and Digital Minister said his ministry is currently discussing the matter with several major telecommunication companies in the country to reach an agreement.
Pada waktu ini saya belum lagi bersedia untuk membuat apa-apa pengumuman, tapi harapan saya dalam masa yang singkat beberapa perkara akan dapat dipersetujui dan insya-Allah saya harap akan ada berita baik terutama untuk pengguna prepaid. Ya, jadi tunggu sikit lagi.
He said this to the media at the Kasih at Hawana 2023 program in Seri Kembangan on Friday. Regarding the 5G network implementation policy by Digital Nasional Berhad (DNB), Fahmi said it will be presented to the Cabinet next week. He added that he had a meeting on the matter with Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim on Tuesday. However, there were several matters that the Prime Minister had asked to be examined. The Health Ministry's pilot project of extending the operational hours of health clinics to reduce overcrowding at the Tengku Ampuan Rahimah Hospital, HTAR, has seen a fruitful outcome. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said the pilot project saw a reduction in the number of incoming patients at the emergency department of HTAR after moving the operations of the non-emergencies to the Bandar Botanic Health Clinic KKBB and extending its daily hours to 9:30 p.m. In a statement on Friday, Dr. Zaliha said the average number of patients coming into the hospital's trauma and emergencies department saw a 54% reduction, and the lower number is more obvious on the weekends. She also said that the current status of the pilot project in reducing patient overcrowding at government hospitals was presented in the Majlis Tindakan Malaysia Madani meeting chaired by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. The minister added that due to the success, her ministry would be expanding the project to 5 more selected health clinics, namely in Gombak, Hulu Langat, Ipoh, Johor Bahru and Kuala Lumpur, as well as having 7 other short and medium-term measures, including implementing the Madani Health Scheme and expanding the virtual healthcare service to reduce overcrowding at government hospitals. She also advised patients who did not have any critical ailments to seek care at a government health clinic, as this would help doctors and healthcare workers to provide immediate care to critical patients at the emergency departments of government hospitals. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC has arrested another aide to the Human Resources Minister V. Sivakumar to facilitate its probe into the approval of the foreign workers' hiring quota. A 4-day remand has been issued against the woman on Friday to facilitate the graftbusters' probe into the case. It was learnt that the suspect, who is a private secretary to the minister, was nabbed when she was summoned to the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya earlier on the same day to have a statement recorded. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki, when contacted, confirmed the matter but did not provide further details on the arrest. The arrest came a day after one of Sivakumar's senior officers, along with a foreign worker recruitment agent, were remanded by the graft busters on Thursday. Both individuals were also remanded for 6 days to assist investigations by the MACC. Sivakumar, however, could not be reached for comments on this latest development. In a statement issued on Thursday, Sivakumar said his ministry will give its full cooperation to the MACC in its probe. When we come back, devastating Australian cyclone unleashes record-breaking winds. Stay with us. From the foreign front. A strong 7.0 magnitude earthquake was recorded in the sea north of the main Indonesian island of Java on Friday. However, no immediate reports of damage or casualties were reported. According to the US Geological Survey, the quake struck at 4:55 p.m. local time, with Indonesia's geological agency ruling out a tsunami after the epicenter was detected at a depth of 594 kilometers. It said the quake hit roughly 160 kilometers northwest of Surabaya, Indonesia's second most populous city that is home to more than 2 million people. Tremors were felt all over a large part of Java and as far away as the islands of Bali and Lombok. A severe tropical cyclone lashed northwestern Australia on Friday, bringing the strongest sustained winds the country has ever recorded. After brewing off the coast for days, tropical cyclone Ilsa made landfall in the early hours as a Category 5 storm, the equivalent of a Category 4 Atlantic hurricane, near the sparsely populated town of Pardue. According to the Bureau of Meteorology, the cyclone brought a wind gust of 289 kilometers per hour, believed to be the strongest on record in the nation. Ilsa also packed an Australian record for the strongest sustained wind speeds over a 10-minute period, averaging 218 kilometers per hour. The previous record was 194 kilometers per hour, set by Cyclone George in 2007, showing that the system was strong as it approached the coast. Authorities said it is not yet clear what damage the cyclone has inflicted on the region, but the winds had the potential to cause significant damage to trees, buildings, power lines and other infrastructure. In the U.S., the National Guardsman was in custody on Friday after he was arrested on suspicion of being behind a major leak of highly classified military documents about the Ukraine war and other national security issues. The U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland named the suspect as Jack Teixeira, an employee of the U.S. Air Force National Guard and the reported leader of the online chat group where the document trove first emerged. It was reported that the 21-year-old will appear in court on Friday, charged with the unauthorized removal and transmission of classified information. According to the U.S. National Guard Bureau, Teixeira enlisted in September 2019 and is an IT and communications specialist who reached the rank of Airman First Class, the third lowest for enlisted Air Force personnel. While he is said to have harbored a skepticism of government, his acquaintances said he was neither a whistleblower nor a foreign agent. The dramatic arrest was the culmination of a week-long investigation fueled by intense media coverage into one of the most damaging leaks of classified information since the 2013 dump of National Security Agency documents by Edward Snowden. Also in the U.S., Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill on Thursday banning most abortions after 6 weeks, hours after the White House called the measure extreme and dangerous. The bill bans women from having an abortion in Florida after 6 weeks of gestation unless the pregnancy endangers the health of the mother, is a result of rape or incest, and does not exceed 15 weeks, or the fetus is not viable. Florida's Republican-dominated legislature passed the text hours earlier with 70 votes to 40. The White House, meanwhile, slammed the move, saying the ban flies in the face of fundamental freedoms and is out of step with the views of the vast majority of Americans. The new bill's text, however, will not enter into force until the Florida Supreme Court rules on an appeal filed by several associations against the 15-week limit, arguing that the law violates a state privacy clause. North Korea on Friday announced it had tested a new solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, a development set to radically promote its forces, which experts said would facilitate missile launches with little warning. It was understood that the aim of the test fire was to confirm the performance of the high-thrust solid-fuel engines for multi-stage missiles and to estimate the military feasibility of the new strategic weapon system. Leader Kim Jong-un, who guided the test, had warned that he will make enemies experience a clearer security crisis and constantly strike extreme uneasiness and horror into them by taking fatal and offensive counteractions until they abandon their senseless thinking and reckless acts. According to the Korean Central News Agency, the development of the Hwasong-18 will extensively reform the strategic deterrence components of the country, radically promote the effectiveness of its nuclear counter-attack posture, and bring about a change in the practicality of its offensive military strategy.
Yang bukan jalan ni ya.
Djokovic sent packing for home. Coming up next, action from Monte Carlo. Back onto sports tennis, the Monte Carlo Masters. 16-seed Lorenzo Musetti upset world number 1 Novak Djokovic in 3 sets to reach the quarterfinals.
In wet and windy conditions that saw a rain delay, 21-year-old Musetti broke the Serbian's serve 8 times en route to a 2-hour, 54-minute win, converting his 4th match point. Having dropped to the opener, Musetti fought from 2-4 in the second set to level, before going on to claim a 4-6, 7-5, 6-4 victory and earn the second top 5 win of his career. Musetti next meets countryman Jannik Sinner after the 7th seed earlier beat 10th-seeded Pole Hubert Hurkacz. Also in the last 8 was Daniil Medvedev. Facing Alexander Zverev, 3rd-seeded Medvedev was dragged to a 3-set battle before snatching a 3-6, 7-5, 7-6 win. Medvedev next meets Holger Rune of Denmark after the 19-year-old 6th seed advanced without hitting a ball, as Matteo Berrettini was forced to withdraw from the match due to an oblique injury.
On to football now. Cristiano Ronaldo's Saudi club Al Nassr fired coach Rudi Garcia after less than a year in charge, following media reports of dressing room tensions and just days before a crucial game against champions Al Hilal. Garcia, the former AS Roma and Olympique de Marseille coach, criticised the players after a goalless draw with Loli Al Fayha last Sunday in another blow to their hopes of a first league title since 2019. Local media reported that Garcia's relationship with the players prompted the club to dismiss him, as well as dissatisfaction with his style of play. Al Nassr, who signed Ronaldo in a deal with more than $200 million, have collected 7 points from their last 4 league games, dropping to second place in the table, 3 points behind leaders Al Ittihad with 7 games left in the season. Al Nassr lost the Saudi Super Cup final to Al Ittihad in January and have not beaten any of their closest rivals, Al Ittihad, Al Hilal or Al Shabab, in the league this season. Former Mari CEO charged over 5 million ringgit bribe. This and more after the short break. continues. Former Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute MARI Chief Executive Officer Datuk Madani Sahari has been charged at the Shah Alam Sessions Court on Friday with one count of receiving a 5 million ringgit bribe 2 years ago. The 56-year-old accused was charged with accepting the money from an individual as a reward for helping a company secure a letter of award for a contract worth 12 million ringgit. Datuk Madani was alleged to have committed the offence at a bank in Section 15 Shah Alam on July 8, 2021. He was charged under the MACC Act, which provides a maximum jail term of 20 years and a fine of 10,000 ringgit or 5 times the value of the bribe, whichever is higher if convicted. Judge Rosila Saleh then allowed the accused bail at 300,000 ringgit. The court also set June 8 for re-mention of the case. A 34-year-old man suspected of burning 13 motorcycles and 4 electronic scooters at the Suria KLCC parking lot on Thursday has been detained by police. He was arrested after being found near the scene of the incident before the fire occurred, based on closed-circuit television camera CCTV footage. Dang Wangi District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Nur Delhan Yahaya said police received information about the fire at 4 p.m. before arresting the suspect several hours after the incident. During the arrest, police also found an RS motorcycle, motorcycle key, a shirt, a pair of pants, gloves, bag, watch and lighter. Authorities have received 10 police reports from victims regarding the incident. However, the suspect's actual motive was still unknown. The suspect has been remanded for 6 days starting Friday to assist investigations under the Penal Code for committing mischief. The former managing director and former executive director of a prominent massage parlour company have been arrested by the MACC on suspicion of embezzling the company's funds amounting to millions of ringgit. The source said the two men aged 50 and 55 were the main suspects in a case of fund embezzlement in connection with the purchase of massage oil estimated at 9 million ringgit. They were detained at 9 p.m. on Thursday at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya when they turned up to give their statements. The suspects allegedly misappropriated the money by purchasing massage oil at a higher price than the market price through a supplier company believed to be a proxy, causing the company to suffer an estimated loss of 1.8 million ringgit. Both individuals have been remanded starting Friday until April 17 after Magistrate Irza Zulaika Rohanuddin allowed MACC's application at the Putrajaya Magistrates Court on Friday. The Commission's Investigation Senior Director, Datuk Sri Shambuddin Hashim, who confirmed the arrest, said the case is being investigated under the MACC Act. Previously, it was reported that 3 women in their 50s were remanded for 5 days until April 17th to assist in investigations in connection with the case. In Johor, a 35-year-old lorry driver was killed when his vehicle laden with fruits crashed into a highway divider in Kluang in an attempt to avoid a tyre in his path on early Friday morning. Kluang Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Bahrain Muhammad Noh said the victim had been identified as Muhammad Saifuddin Mat Lazan, who died on the spot after he sustained serious injuries to his head and body from being flung out of the lorry and landing under a bridge. The 2:30 a.m. incident, which occurred on the North-South Expressway, also involved a 68-year-old driver of a trailer carrying cement and a 26-year-old driver of a Honda Civic. Both drivers of the trailer and car failed to avoid crashing into the lorry, resulting in the vehicle to overturn, but they managed to walk away uninjured. The victim's body was then taken to Kluang Hospital for post-mortem. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look as Libyans in Tajora prepare traditional bazin bread, which is commonly served in a traditional dish for the Ramadan iftar meal. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for watching and selamat bersahur.